d4 is white's most popular alternative to e4 games. Although typically not as fast-paced as many e4 openings, d4 is a rich opening move with many positional and attacking ideas. Let's take a look at some of the most common openings after d4. After d4, white is ready to play e4 on the next turn, so black's most solid defense is preventing this idea with d5. White will sometimes play moves like bishop f4, known as the London system, but white's most direct and popular plan is to put pressure on d5 right away with c4. This opening is known as the Queen's Gambit. White wants to remove black's pawn on d5 so that white can play e4 and gain more space in the center. Black's two most popular responses to the Queen's Gambit defend the d5 pawn with either e6 or c6. But sometimes black captures the pawn with d takes c4, known as the Queen's Gambit accepted. Black typically does not get a good position by trying to hold on to the extra pawn on c4, but the main idea behind giving up the center is to open up the d-file to place pressure on d4. White will usually take over the center with e4, planning on rapid development and trying to prevent black from comfortably developing. Giving up the center is usually a risky decision, so black more often protects the d5 pawn with one of the next two opening ideas. When black plays c6, this opening is known as the Slav defense. Black protects the d5 pawn, so if white captures on d5, black can recapture with a pawn and still control the center. After knight to f3 and knight to f6, white usually plays knight to c3. Black has a choice to make the opening a Slav or a semi-Slav defense. How do we know which opening is which? The Slav defense is when black develops the light-squared bishop before playing the move e6. The semi-Slav defense is when black keeps the bishop on c8 and plays e6. If black wants to play the Slav defense, which means developing the light-squared bishop before playing e6, black should play d takes c4. If black plays bishop f5 immediately, white has the tricky c takes d5. And after c takes d5, white now plays queen to b3. Notice that white's queen attacks b7 and adds a second attacker to the d5 pawn. Black can play b6, but this weakens light squares in black's territory. Black could retreat the light-squared bishop back to c8, maybe black's best choice, or try queen to b6, protecting the b7 pawn and attacking white's queen. White can win a pawn after knight takes d5. And if black trades queens with queen takes b3, hoping that white will immediately capture the queen and then lose the knight on d5, white has the very nice in-between move, knight to f6 check. And white has won a pawn after all of the trades. This explains why black plays d takes c4 first. Black captures the pawn and is threatening to hold on to the pawn with b5. So white typically plays a4, preventing b5. White is ready to play e4 and take over the center, so black will play bishop to f5, developing the bishop toward the center and protecting the e4 square. This is the main line of the Slav defense. White will often play e3, protecting the d4 pawn and preparing to recapture black's pawn on c4 with the light